Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. Agat Tavach. We're continuing in Mishnah Berura. Siman Kuf Mem Vav. We're at the end of Sif Beis. Let me refresh your memory. Mechaber said, once the Sefer Torah begins to be read, you cannot speak, even in learning, even being Gavra Gavra, even if you already finished the Parsha. Some permit to learn silently. Some say that if there are 10 people listening, then you're allowed to speak in Divrei Torah. That's the Bahag. Some only allow it. That's the Rif. Some say, namely the Tamina Rabbi Yoina, that if you, before the Sefer Torah was opened, you turn to the other direction, you show that you're not part of the Tzibor, then you could start learning. Shnai Mikra ve'echad Targum is permitted. That is the opinion of the Mordechai and the Hagois Ashri. This does not apply to Zachar and Para, because Zachar and Para require 10 Mida Iraisa. Okay, so what is the correct course of action? The Mechaber concludes the Hanachain Shebechal HaParshios Roi Lemedaktik B'dvarav L'chavein Daitoi U'Leshama Mipi HaKorei. It is worthy, it is proper that by all Parshios, one who is careful in their deeds should be Mechavein, should focus and listen to the reader. Says the Mishnah, says the Bir Halacha. Let's start with this. Well, let's see the Mishnah Berura. I'm sorry. Simchan Yadad. V'anochin shebechol haparshios. Ratzolaimer. Afilu lahaver hasedra shnayim mikvechat targum b'shas kriya einoi min hamavchar. It's not even choice. It is not even the ideal to be maver sedra during the Kriyas Torah. Ela roi ledaktik v'lishmaya mipi hakoyrei mila b'mila. It is appropriate to be medaktik and to listen to the reader word by word. So uh, the way the Mishnah Berura is interpreting the Mechaber, that even to do Maver Sedra at the time of the Kriya is Einoi Min HaMavchar. Okay, that doesn't mean to say along with it. That means for you on your own, while the Balkari is reading the Parsha, for one to be Maver Sedra, that's not correct. The Mishnah Berura continues, Roy Lamadaktik B'dvar, Pri Chadash Kasav, the Meikar Adin Hu Sha'asar Lasik B'Shum Davar. The Pri Chadash says no. Pri Chadash disagrees with the Mechaber. The Mechaber says it's Roy Lamadaktik B'dvarav to pay attention and not to be Maver Sedra. Pri Chadash says no, it's not Roy, it's Meikar Adin. It's Asur. It's Asur to be Maver Sedra during Kriyas HaTorah. V'afilu b'shnayim mikvechat targum b'shas HaKriya. V'afilu ika asar d'tzai zulasai. V'chein hevi Magen Avraham b'shem shla. The Magen Avraham brings from the shla. It's also me'ikar adin shemachmer v'zeh. Ela tzarch lishtoik v'lishmaya hakriya mipi hashat tzibor. V'chein das hagra b'masei rav. In other words, the Mishnah Berura is saying that the Achroinim disagree with the tone of the Mechaber. The Mechaber says it's nachain to pay attention to each word and not to be Maver Sedra during Kriyas HaTorah. So the Mishnah Berura brings a slew of Achroinim that say it's not nachain, it's usher to be Maver Sedra. It's a requirement. Now the Gemara as well. In Perish Rashi, Bein Gavra Gavra, mutar afilu deyazu. According to this opinion, you could be Maver Sedra Ben Gavra Gavra. You could be Maver Sedra. It's mutter. Is that ideal? No, nobody said it was ideal. What's the ideal? In my humble opinion, to sit with respect silently. Can people do that? I don't know if people are capable. I don't know human beings who are capable of doing that. But if you want to strive for that, yeah, that's the ideal. That's what it seems like to me. The ideal is you wait silently, respectfully for the Kriyas HaTorah to begin. Are you allowed to be Maver Sedra? Yes. Are you allowed to learn? We won't throw rotten tomatoes at you if you learn Bein Gavra LeGavra. Is it better not to? Yes, it's better not to. Who said that? The Mishna Berura, Sivkat and Vav. It's better not to learn Bein Gavra LeGavra. Quietly. Hamikol ein limcha. In other words, should you read Parsha sheets Bein Gavra LeGavra? No. If you do, will we throw rotten tomatoes at you? No. If you're Maver Sedra during Kriyas HaTorah, will we throw rotten tomatoes? Yes.
What do you say if you're Marach with Mishaberach? Should also sit quiet? Or is that a waste of time?
You want to know if they're saying Misha Berach? So
where they're really doing it with a lot of Mishaberachs, in some places. What would you do?
You should listen quietly and answer Amen. Are you allowed to be Maver Sedra? Yes. If you read Parsha sheets, Ein Limchais Biyadai. Is it humanly possible to do that? This shiur is not about what's humanly possible to do. This shiur is the halacha, what you're supposed to do. So again, the three levels are: it's mutter to be Maver Sedra Bein Gavra LeGavra. If you learn Bein Gavra LeGavra Ein Limchais Biyadai, you're not allowed to talk in learning. Another thing. It is correct to say quietly each word of the Kriyas HaTorah with the Balkarei. Why? Otherwise, it's not possible to focus. The Levush, the Derech HaChaim, and the Shulchan Atzei Shittim. The Dirshu brings that the Gra says you should listen to each word and not assist the Balkarei. That is what the Gra holds. Nevertheless, in Siman Reish Pei Hey, I want to see that inside. The Mishnah Berura says that Ein lahachmer bedavar, because you're listening to the shots as well. Let me see. Reish Pei Hey, Sivkatan Yadalid. The Mishnah Berura says, Likrois belachash mila b'mila mashal tzibur ein lahachmer b'zeh. Kiven shemachavin oz gam l'shmaya kol teva mipi ashel tzibur. I personally try not to do that because I don't find that you could listen to the words of the Balkarei if you're simultaneously saying the words. I'll only do that if I have an extenuating circumstance and I did not yet finish being Maver Sedra and I want to do it before eating Shabbos day. But the Mishnah Berura says you are lechatchila allowed to quietly be Maver Sedra along with the Balkarei. But to be Maver Sedra on your own during Kriyas HaTorah.
Harav, I'm sorry, I came late. What exactly is Maver Sedra?
I'll explain to you after the shiur, okay? So that's the bottom line. So to do the Shnaya Mikra during the Kriya, the Pri Chadash says Me'ikar Din is Aser. The Mechaber says it's Ro'y not to do it. The Pri Chadash says Me'ikar Hadin it's Aser. Okay, Sif Gimel. Oh, 1 second. Let's see the Be'er Halacha. V'hanochain shebechol ha-parshiyos ayim b'Mishnah Berura di Ramaschal Ro'y v'nei kol zeh hasifu toichachas megula la'oisen ha'anoshim ha-mafkirin es nafshoisam u'mesaprim b'sicha b'tela be'esa kriya. This whole sif is an open rebuke to those people who render ownerless their souls and they speak idle conversation during Kriyas HaTorah. Im bein Gavra LeGavra, if between aliyos, Sefer Sasum, where the Sefer Torah is closed, also saper im chaveroi, Ula kama poiskim asar fil b'divrei Torah. Kama yigdal ha'isr be'esh ha'sefer pasuach. How great is the prohibition when the sefer is open? Shabizoyinhu. It is a disgrace. Kishameser aznai milashmaya dvar Hashem. If somebody removes his ear from listening to the word of God, the gadol avoinu minasai, the sin is too great to bear. Shafilu misha yoytze be'emtza kriya nemer alav oizve Hashem yichlu. Even a guy who goes outside to get a tissue during Kriyas HaTorah, there's a klala va'oizve Hashem yichlu. Kidamrina beGemara. Kol shekein bezeh sha'oimei bebeis hakneses vein rotzal hatas osna HaTorah. Certainly, a guy who's in the shul and is having an idle conversation. Ulavadze. Besides this, matzei kama pa'amim chil Hashem al yedei barabim. Many times this could be a disgrace, a desecration of the name of Hashem publicly. If you're a guy standing in the Mizrach Vant, and you're the guy who you have to get your Dvar Torah that you started Bein Gavra LeGavra Be'Isser, you need to continue it during the laning, you're Mechalel Shem Shamayim Barabim. Boy, you had a good achievement today in the shul. Pal, you would have been better staying in bed this morning. You've been better staying in bed. This is not what I'm saying. The Chidah writes, somebody who has a need to speak by the davening, they will be honoring God's name by not attending the house of worship that day. Gam kama pa'amim hamasya shaloi ma'oravim b'lashon hara. Says the Chafetz Chaim, and often your so-called divrei Torah are laced with lashon hara urachilosh meroishan v'yad soifan. Besides the fact you're not even allowed to talk in a shul to begin with. You could talk in a shul. You're not allowed to talk in a shul. Ulavadze ha'isur shel sicha b'teila b'veis hagnes b'veis medrash shu gam kein isur gadol. Talking in a shul is an isur gadol. Kamavar lekaman b'sim kuf nun aleph. Re'ei v'chashoiv kama yisurin over al zeh. Oh, and by the way, says the Chafetz Chaim, your prayer is an abomination, just to point out. V'gam tfilasei mitayeves avrozel lefnei Hashem. Your prayer is despised. K'dechsiv meiser aznai mishmaya Torah gam tfilasei tayeves. Someone who removes his ear from listening to Torah, his tefillah is an abomination. V'ashrei mi shenoisim kavod la Torah. So the Chafetz Chaim says somebody who talks during Kriyas HaTorah, he's abandoning his soul. By the way, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to abandon your soul. That's a bad thing. Sif Gimel. Also, you can't talk during the Haftarah. Kishamafter Kore v'chulu ayin lekaman siman reish peidal Sif Gimel tzach lechavin gam leberchos hamafter. You also have to have kavanah for the brachas of the mafter. V'lanois achreim amen ayin sham. Sif Daled. Ein tzarech lamoid mu'umad be'eis shekorin b'Torah. You do not have to stand up during Kriyas HaTorah. That is the opinion of the Tur in the name of Rav Sar Shalom. Says the Rama, V'yesh machmirin v'oimdin. There are those who are stringent and stand. V'chein asa maharam. The Maharam Rothenburg would stand during Kriyas HaTorah. Says the Mishnah Berura, Ein tzarech lamoid va'afilu ha'imdim ala bima. Even those who stand at the bima, meaning, let's say you're hanging around the bima because you're the Gabbai Ravi, or because you got the last Aliyah and you're still hanging around there. There's no chiyuv to stand. There's no chiyuv to stand by the Sefer Torah unless someone's carrying it. When it's resting in its place, ein sarach. Ayin bereish siman kuf memalef the davka hakoyrei v'ha'oila la Torah tzricha lamed. Only the bal koyrei and the oila has to stand. Also, the gabbai should stand. V'chein afilu kishecha toivsa b'yadai. Likewise, if somebody's holding the Sefer Torah, going to Eisha Koyer and Haftorah, for example, at the time of the reading of the Haftorah, Kivan Shu Yoshim Imkami, since the guy's sitting in his spot, in Tzarch Lamed Lefanav, you don't have to stand for it. Hafilu Heim B'Torch Daled Amos Shala Alabima, even if you're within its Daled Amos. V'da de be'esha noisa noisa, but you should know when they carrying the Sefer Torah, chayiv lamoid lefanea, you must stand for the Sefer Torah, ad shetischasim einam, until it is out of sight, or until the transfer reaches its spot. Va'afilu smicha leiza davar asar, you're not even allowed to lean when the Sefer Torah is in transit. The smicha ki yeshiva, leaning is like sitting. Says Rav Moshe, standing up for a Sefer Torah is a chiyuv d'oraisa. Standing up for a Sefer Torah is a chiyuv d'oraisa. Why? Because what's the makar of standing? The Gemara makes a drasha. If you stand up for a Talmud Chacham, mipaneh loy kol shekain. A kavachomer is a d'oraisa. Therefore, on Monday and Thursday, when they open up the Aron, you're not mechuyev me'ikar adin to stand up when the Aron is open. It's better to, but it's not a chiyuv. But when the Sefer Torah is in transit, it's a chiyuv d'oraisa. Therefore, if you want to fulfill the mitzvah d'oraisa, you need to be mechavein on Monday and Thursday and Shabbos to have kavana to mekayim the mitzvah d'oraisa of standing up for a Sefer Torah.